Okay, so just a couple more tips when you're steaming your milk. So essentially, when you're making your milk, when you're pouring a coffee, 50% of your coffee is going to be the same no matter what coffee you're pouring, whether it's a latte, cappuccino, or flat white. The first 50% is typically your thinner milk, not your foamier milk. So with that in mind, when you're texturizing your milk and injecting some air into it with a steam wand, it's going to be the same sort of a texture. You're still looking for that silky texture every single time you're making your milk. It's just going to be about how much air you're injecting. So I'm just going to give you a couple tips now to introduce more air or less air, but ultimately still get that silky kind of a feel and glossy milk texture. So as usual, we are just going to give our steam wand just a purge before use. And same thing, we're just going to pick a side and everything exactly the same. We're just going to have it submerged just like that. Introduce our air all the way straight away. Now flat at the beginning, and now we're going to introduce our air. Right, so I'm going to aim for something slightly foamier. So I'm going to have my air introduction just last a little bit longer, just there. And now, same thing as usual. We're just going to submerge the steam tip, and we're just going to let that swim around in a vortex until we reach our desired temperature. Once we've got our temperature, we pull that one out, we grab our wet cloth, give that a nice clean, give it a purge, and then straight away, just a couple taps and a nice swirl. Now you might notice straight away, as compared to the last milk we made, that looks a little bit heavier and a little bit foamier. And that's exactly what we're after. So as I mentioned, during the milk steaming process, we introduced a bit more air. We want a little bit more foamier texture, and that's exactly how you do it. You just have a bit more air introduction for a little bit longer, but ultimately you're still ending with a vortex going around and your steam tip fully submerged. So that's kind of how you texturize your milk a little bit more. And the same thing would work in reverse. If you want a little bit less air introduction, you essentially just introduce less air for a short amount of time, and you have your steam tip submerged in your milk for longer of the duration of the steaming process.